Welcome back. In just weeks, Amtrak will be getting a major upgrade on the East Coast. But it comes after the federal government has pulled funding for a major rail project on the West Coast. Though there are still hopes for a proposed cross-country route before the FIFA World Cup next year. Brian Abel joins us now live from Washington, D.C. with a look at the state of the high-speed rail in the U.S. Brian, give us the state of the play when it comes to high-speed rail here in the U.S.
Well, it's a pretty low state of affairs overall, Brennan, with one major highlight. So let's talk about that first. I'm talking about the Acela line that's in the Northeast corridor. It connects some pretty major cities. We're talking about Boston to New York to Philly and Baltimore and D.C. It was introduced in 2000. This is the one that's getting the upgrade coming up here in a couple of weeks. The share of air rail traffic between New York and D.C., it grew from 37% when it started back in 2000 up to 83% in 2021. So definitely a success story there that hasn't been seen really anywhere else in the country. Let's take a look at the left coast out in California. Former Governor Jerry Brown, he was talking about high-speed rail back in the 80s. It wasn't until 2008 where voters finally approved about $10 billion in funds to build a track that would connect San Francisco to Los Angeles. But here we are talking today, and it still hasn't been built. And the budget has ballooned. That's led the Trump administration to pull out $4 billion worth of funding for that project, as well as $63 million over in Texas. So that's the state right now. There's not a lot going on. There is this coast-to-coast option that is being floated as being built before the FIFA World Cup in 2026. But experts say that's probably not likely. And if it were to happen, the ridership is in question as well.
And what are some of the challenges of bringing that high-speed rail here to the U.S.?
Yeah, one is really logistical. It takes land, right? And procuring that land is difficult, as well as also getting the rail ready with the infrastructure, which leads then to the next bit, which is cash financing, because none of that is cheap. The components for the rail, as well as purchasing that land. And then there's this other conversation about the politics of it all, political will. First, getting voters to approve funding or getting the federal government to give you grants on a project. And then if the costs change, keeping those, like what we just talked about in Texas and in California.
And lastly, Brian, high-speed rail has had some success in the Northeast, but not so much outside that region. What do experts say are some of the reasons for that?
Yeah, travel time is really a big one. So let's talk about the Acela, the success, first of all. The reason why is because I'm here in D.C. It takes, roughly a little over 3 hours to get up to New York on the Amtrak train. About the same time, comparable to flying in an airplane, especially when you factor in security lines. But then let's take this cross-country, coast-to-coast line, for example, from L.A. to New York. That would be 3 days it would take to go to each end of that line. It's going to be pretty difficult to find riders other than tourists that may want to see the country. But if you're to tell your employer, hey, I'm going to take a train out instead of a 4-hour flight, you can imagine how that conversation will likely go.
Brian Abel, live in D.C., thank you.